The 11th chapter of this book is dedicated to the entire history of Islam in India. And the reason I haven't really mentioned India in the other chapters is because the Islamic history of India is so huge. It's such a huge topic that it really deserves an entire chapter all to itself. And now while I'm talking about India, I'm talking about the Indian subcontinent. And so this includes Bangladesh and Pakistan and Nepal and Kashmir and Sri Lanka and the Maldives and possibly even Myanmar. But I might decide to put that here or maybe in the chapter on Southeast Asia. Anyway, the story of India starts with the conquest of Sindh during the reign of the Umayyads. But after that, the Muslims, they didn't really push further into the subcontinent until the rise of the Turks. Around this time, you had the Ghurid Empire, which formed and began conquering India. And although they themselves were Persians, much of their military was made up of Turkic soldiers. This became the first Muslim sultanate that penetrated deep into the Indian territory, where they conquered much of the northern area, although they didn't really manage to take and hold on to Bangladesh. Soon after came the Delhi Sultanate, which was really made up of 5 different dynasties who ruled in succession, but they kind of grouped together and called the Delhi Sultanate, because they ruled out of Delhi, of course. They were mostly Turkic or semi-Turkic rulers, and they were the ones who managed to conquer most of the subcontinent, ruling east into Bangladesh, and even much of the southern lands. And by the way, there was a lot of evidence that Muslims had been spreading Islam in southwestern India, even during the time of the Sahaba. Since the Arabs, they often traveled there to do trade with the Indians. There's also evidence that one of the kings in the region converted to Islam as he had seen the splitting of the moon, one of the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ. Anyway, after the Delhi Sultanate, you had the Mughals. This was a Turkic, Mongolic dynasty that came right after. And this was the big one. This was the biggest dynasty and one of the greatest Muslim empires of all time. And at the height of their rule, their empire may have generated a quarter of the entire world's GDP. An unbelievably powerful and rich Muslim empire. But between all of these were a multitude of Muslim sultanates spread across the subcontinent, each with its own history and culture and interactions with one another. And so as I go through the chapter, I'll be explaining each one of these, inshallah. It's really important to think of India not as a country, but as a continent full of countries. Just like Europe. Europe has so many different countries with so many different cultures and languages. So does India. It's also important to understand that just as we have heroes and villains and amazing moments in history in the Middle East, all of that also exists in India. India is such an untapped goldmine of stories and history, and yet most of the Muslim world forgets about it, or they simply don't know about it. So as I'm going through the chapter, I'll do my best to show all of these stories and explain all of the different cultures and contexts and histories of these places. A task that really, it intimidates me because of how just absolutely monumental it is. So I'll definitely need some help from local researchers for that. Then, of course, there's the introduction of the Western powers in India, who fought wars and installed companies and often enslaved the people for profit. The East India Company, for example, it plays a significant role in India and can be seen sort of as like a precursor to the way that modern companies work. And so I'm actually going to explain that whole thing as well. But I'll mainly leave those details out of this chapter in particular, so I can focus on them later on when we get to the chapter on colonization. So if you're interested in this book, go to my website now and pre-order the book. I will literally write your name into the book as an honor to you for being one of the original backers of this project. But this is only for the people who pre-order the book during this Ramadan only. May Allah honor your name with a legacy that the ummah will never forget. And may the generations of people who read this book hundreds of years from now know that it was you who was the reason that this book could even be printed in the first place. Ameen.